I didn't expect to see him again. Not after high school, not after everything that happened. But there he was, Jordan Reyes, walking into my local gym like he hadn't ghosted me 8 years ago. It was just after 7 p.m. on a Thursday. I was mid-set on the incline bench when I saw him in the mirror. Same awkward way of fidgeting with his hoodie drawstring like he used to do when he was nervous. I told myself I had to be imagining it, but then he turned, and yeah, that was him. Same hazel eyes, same smirk, just older. He didn't recognize me at first, and why would he? I wasn't the scrawny, nervous kid he last saw sneaking glances at him in the locker room. I had filled out, grown some muscle, figured out how to dress, even started wearing contacts instead of those thick glasses that always slid down my nose. But me, I recognized him instantly. Jordan always had this calm confidence about him, like he belonged wherever he was. Even now, he looked comfortable and sharp. Buzzed haircut, a little stubble. That same easy walk. I racked my weights and wiped the sweat off my forehead. My heart was pounding. And not from the workout. I could have ignored him. Could have kept my head down, finished my set, and walked out like nothing happened. But I wasn't that person anymore. So when he passed by, I called out, "Jordan?" He paused, looked over, confused for a second, then surprised. "No way," he said, squinting at me. "Eli?" "Yeah," I said, smiling. "Been a while." He let out a breathy laugh, shaking his head. "Man, I almost didn't recognize you." "Yeah, well," I gestured around the gym, years of trying to not hate myself. He laughed, but there was something in his eyes, something softer, maybe guilt. "I didn't know you were still in town," he said, adjusting his gym bag strap. "Moved back last year, after grad school." "No shit," he said. "I just moved back too. Coaching track at Lincoln High now." I raised an eyebrow. "You? A coach?" he chuckled. "Yeah, I know. Wild. But they needed someone, and I figured, why not?" We stood there in a weird silence. Not awkward, exactly, just full of things neither of us was saying. "You training?" he asked, nodding at the weights. "Trying to stay consistent." "You always were," he said, "even back then." That caught me off guard. It wasn't sarcastic, just thoughtful. Kind of like he'd been waiting to say it. "You want to catch up after this?" he added quickly. "Grab a protein shake or something?" I should have said no, should have told him I was busy, but instead I said sure. "I'm done in 10. He smiled, gave me a little nod, then walked off toward the cardio machines. And I sat back down, heart thudding in my chest, trying to process what the hell just happened. Jordan Reyes. The guy who once kissed me behind the football bleachers sophomore year, then ghosted me like it never happened. The guy who avoided me for the rest of high school. The guy the first never really got over, and now he wanted to talk. This was gonna get complicated. I finished my set in a daze. My muscles were burning, but all I could focus on was how casually Jordan had invited me out, like we were just two old friends who'd lost touch, not two people with years of silence between them. By the time I hit the locker room and changed into a dry shirt, my nerves were crawling under my skin. I checked myself in the mirror twice, once to fix my hair, once to remind myself that I wasn't a 16-year-old anymore. He was waiting by the juice bar when I came out, already sipping on something green and expensive looking. "You still allergic to peanut butter?" he asked. I blinked. "You remember that?" he smirked. "Almost killed you once with a protein bar. Something stick." I ordered something basic, banana and almond milk, and followed him to a small corner table. The gym had that weird post-evening class quiet, like everyone was too tired to talk. Except Jordan. He looked energized, relaxed. "So," he said, stirring his shake with the straw, "what have you been up to?" It started easy. Work. Life. I told him I was doing freelance marketing now, mostly for small brands. He nodded along, genuinely interested. Said he liked that I stuck with the creative stuff, like that was always going to be my path. "And you?" I asked, sipping my shake. "Coaching's kind of a shift." "Not really," he shrugged. Always liked running. Always liked working with kids. Plus, high school track doesn't come with as much pressure as, say, playing D1 ball. He said it casually, but I caught the undertone. That whole football scholarship thing. The same thing that had made him keep his distance in high school after that kiss. I waited, letting the silence stretch. Jordan tapped the edge of his cup. You ever think about that night? There it was. I stared at him, not angry, just surprised he'd bring it up. Yeah, I said, sometimes. He looked down, then back up at me. I was such a coward. I didn't respond right away, just watched him wrestle with whatever was going on behind his eyes. I liked you, he said, finally. Way more than I should have back then, but I didn't know how to deal with it. I mean, football. My dad. All that macho crap. I took a slow breath. You didn't know me anything, Jordan. But you didn't have to pretend it never happened either. I know, he said quietly, and I hated myself for it. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then he leaned back in his chair. When I saw you today, it hit me. How much time's gone by? How much I wanted to talk to you again. I narrowed my eyes, not fully trusting it. Why now? He shrugged. Maybe I'm not scared anymore. It wasn't a grand apology. But it didn't feel fake either. So what do you want from me? I asked, folding my arms. Jordan smiled, and this time it didn't feel like the smirk from high school. It was smaller, more honest. Just a chance to get to know you again. That would have been a good place to leave it. But then he added, and maybe to see if there's still something here. My throat tightened. I wasn't sure if it was hope or panic. Probably both. I looked at him, really looked at him. The guy who broke my heart, who never gave me closure, now sitting across from me in a gym cafe asking for another shot. And the messed up part? I didn't immediately say no. We didn't decide anything that night. After the shake, we walked out to the parking lot together, the evening air warm with that late summer heaviness that feels more like a blanket than a breeze. His car was parked a few rows down from mine. A black SUV, nothing flashy. I leaned against my door, not quite ready to get in. So, he said, sliding his hands into his pockets. So, I repeated. Can I text you sometime? You already have my number? I asked, surprised. He smiled. Still had it saved. You never changed it. I didn't know whether to be impressed or creeped out, but I nodded. Sure, text me. He looked like he wanted to say something else, but didn't. Just gave me a small wave and got into his car. I sat in mine for a good 5 minutes before driving off. That night, I didn't sleep much. I kept thinking about high school, about that kiss behind the bleachers, how warm his hand felt on the back of my neck, how he'd pulled away like he'd just touched a live wire and couldn't believe what he'd done, and how he never spoke to me again after that. Now here he was, resurfacing like nothing had happened, or like it had, and he finally wanted to talk about it. I didn't know what was worse. Over the next week, he did text. Not anything dramatic, just saw this and thought of you kind of texts. Memes. A photo of his old beat-up track shoes. A joke about our gym's terrible playlist. It was weirdly easy. Too easy. Then on Saturday morning, he asked if I wanted to run with him. I laughed when I read it. Me? Run? I'll go easy, he replied. Promise. Against my better judgment, I said yes. We met at the park near the river. He was already stretching when I got there, in a fitted long sleeve and running shorts. His hair was still damp, probably from a quick shower. He looked good. Too good. I haven't run in years, I warned as I joined him. I remember, he smirked. You used to fake ankle injuries in PE. Those were real injuries, I said, deadpan. Caused by boredom and homophobia, he barked a laugh. Fair. We started slow. The path curved along the water, shaded by old trees. We ran side by side, not saying much at first. Just the rhythm of our steps and the occasional wheeze from me. After a mile, I had to slow down. "I think I'm dying," I said, bending over with my hands on my knees. Jordan laughed, barely winded. "You did great. I did terrible. For someone who hasn't run since high school, not bad." I shot him a look. "So this was your plan? Lure me into a near-death experience and then compliment me while I'm weak?" He grinned. "Maybe." We sat on a bench by the water to catch our breath. He handed me a bottle of water from his bag. I drank, then wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. "Why are you really doing this?" "What do you mean?" "Running, shakes, texts. Why now, Jordan?" He looked down at the gravel path, then back up at me. "Because I messed up. Because I used to think I couldn't have you and be who I was supposed to be. But I'm tired of being scared of that." I didn't say anything right away. "I'm not expecting you to just forgive me," he added. I want to try." I stared at him. This boy, no, this man, who used to walk past me in the halls without looking at me, who once held my hand for 10 seconds and then ran. "You really think we can just pick up where we left off?" "No," he said. "I think we have to start over, but maybe that's better." I sat back, heart pounding. Not from the run this time. It should have been easy to say no, but it wasn't, because deep down, part of me still wanted to believe he meant it. We didn't talk much after that. Not because things were weird, but because something unspoken had settled between us. Like both of us were waiting to see if the other would flinch first. The next few days were a weird dance. Jordan would send a good morning text, sometimes a meme, sometimes just, "Hope your day's not total shit." I didn't always respond right away, but I always read them. And when I did reply, I kept it casual. A thanks or a one-word joke. But the truth? I was thinking about him, more than I wanted to admit. Then on Wednesday night he texted, "You busy Friday?" I stared at the screen for a second before replying, "Not really. Why?" "Come to the meet. My kids have a big relay event. Be nice to see a familiar face in the crowd." It took me less than a minute to type, "Sure." The stadium was buzzing when I got there Friday afternoon. Teens in school jerseys were everywhere, bouncing on their heels, stretching, laughing. Coaches barked instructions while parents and bored siblings milled around the stands. Jordan spotted me before I saw him. He jogged over from the track, clipboard in hand, that same grin I hadn't seen since junior year. "You came," he said, like he still wasn't sure he believed it. "Told you I would." He handed me a bottle of water. "Just in case you get dehydrated sitting." Wow. Really watching out for me. "I try," he said, eyes playful. "I've got to get back down there, but after? Dinner?" I nodded before I could talk myself out of it. The meet was fine. I watched his team win a relay and lose a 100-meter sprint by half a second. Jordan was focused, calling times, high-fiving kids, adjusting starting blocks. But every so often, I'd catch him glancing up at me. When it was all over, he found me by the fence near the bleachers. "You hungry?" "Starving." We went to this little diner not far from the high school. The kind of place with laminated menus and a waitress who called everyone honey. We sat in a booth, ordered burgers, and talked. This time, it wasn't about high school or what went wrong. It was about now. Work. Family. Friends we'd lost touch with. Life. He listened, really listened. And when I talked about my clients or my anxiety about picking up more freelance work, he didn't just nod and say, "That sucks." He asked questions. He leaned in, like he actually cared. After dinner, we stepped out into the parking lot. The sky had that late evening glow, warm and low. He walked me to my car, hands stuffed in his jacket pockets. "This was nice," he said. "Yeah, it was. I'm not gonna push you," he added quickly. "I just want you to know I'm serious about being in your life again, in whatever way you want." My heart was pounding. He stepped a little closer, not too close, just enough that I could feel the tension humming in the air between us. "I'm not expecting anything," he said softly. "But if you ever wanted to, try again. For real this time. No secrets, no hiding." I looked at him. Really looked at him. He wasn't the boy who kissed me and ran anymore. He was a man now. Still figuring things out maybe, but trying. And he was here. "I'll think about it," I said. He nodded, smiled faintly, and stepped back. "That's all I can ask." He turned to walk away, then paused, looked back. "Hey, Eli." "Yeah? You're still the bravest person I know." And just like that, he got in his car and drove off, leaving me standing in the parking lot, heart racing, wondering if maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a terrible idea after all. The following week passed in slow motion. I didn't see Jordan, but I felt him everywhere. On my phone screen, in the music we used to listen to in high school, in that ridiculous half-dream I had where he kissed me on the sidewalk outside my apartment and then asked if I wanted pancakes. I didn't text him, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what I'd say. I'm thinking about, "You felt too much. I miss you felt dishonest, like I was romanticizing a past that never really existed." But then Thursday night, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I paused Netflix, walked over, and when I opened the door, there he was. Jordan, in jeans and a hoodie, hair slightly damp from the rain, holding a six-pack of some local IPA I'd once mentioned liking. "Hey," he said, lifting the beers. "Didn't feel like texting." I stepped aside. "You always show up with peace offerings?" he smirked. "Only when I'm nervous." That threw me. "You? Nervous?" I've got a decent poker face. But yeah. We settled in on the couch, both of us careful not to sit too close, which only made the tension worse. He opened us a couple beers, and we watched the movie I'd had paused, some forgettable action flick, but neither of us was paying attention. Halfway through, he turned to me. "You ever think about what would have happened if I didn't ghost you?" I stared at the TV, unsure how to answer. All the time, he nodded like he expected that. "You were the only person I felt safe with back then, and I still pushed you away." "You didn't just push me away," I said, voice lower. "You made me feel like I was nothing. Like what we had was this embarrassing accident you had to erase." He went quiet. I could see his jaw tighten, his hands gripping the beer bottle a little too tight. "I know," he said finally, "and I've hated myself for it more times than I can count." He looked over at me. His eyes weren't shiny or teary. They were steady, serious. "I was scared," he continued, "of what it meant if I liked you, of what people would say, of losing everything I thought I needed to keep." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "And now?" "Now?" He shrugged. "I think I already lost the thing that mattered most. And I'm trying to see if maybe it's not too late to get it back." It hung in the air between us, too big to ignore. I set my beer down. "You don't get to just walk back into my life and fix it with a six-pack." "I know, but I also can't pretend like I don't feel something when I'm around you." Jordan looked at me like he was holding his breath. "So what does that mean?" he asked. I didn't answer. I leaned in, closed the space between us, and kissed him. It wasn't some dramatic, movie-style kiss. It was slow, careful, like we were both remembering how to do it. Like we were both afraid we'd wake up and it would all vanish. When I pulled back, he was smiling. "I've been waiting to do that for 8 years, he whispered. "You could have texted." He laughed, soft and warm, and pulled me back in. We didn't sleep together that night. I think he might have stayed if I asked him to, but it didn't feel right. Not yet. The kiss was enough. More than enough, honestly. It was like shaking off years of tension I didn't even know I'd been carrying. After he left, I sat on my bed for a while, just staring at the ceiling like I used to when I was 16 and confused about everything. Only now I wasn't confused. I was cautious. That's different. The next morning, I woke up to a text. "Last night was a lot, in a good way. Hope you're okay today. No pressure on anything." I read it 3 times before replying. "I'm good. Still processing. But yeah, it was good. That weekend we met for coffee. Then again for a walk through the Arboretum. Nothing dramatic. No hand-holding. Just time. Just us. Relearning each other. He told me about his mom getting sick his senior year, about how everything in his life felt like it was falling apart, how the kiss with me was the only thing that felt real at the time. But he didn't know how to handle that kind of real, so he buried it. I figured if I just ignored it, it would go away, he said, kicking a rock down the trail. Did it? I asked. He looked over at me. Clearly not. We started seeing each other more. At first it was safe stuff. Gym, lunch, movie nights. But slowly it bled into something deeper. He'd text me good morning. Not every day, but enough that I noticed when he didn't. We'd share food at restaurants. Not on purpose. It just happened. He started leaving a hoodie at my place, then a toothbrush. One night, we were lying on my couch, some documentary humming in the background. I had my head on his chest, the kind of intimacy that would have terrified us both in high school. His fingers traced slow circles on my shoulder. You ever think about telling people? He asked. What, like posting a selfie of us on Instagram? He smiled. Maybe not that, but not hiding it. I shifted, looking up at him. You ready for that? I think I am. Doesn't mean I'm not scared, just tired of pretending. Okay, I said, resting my head back down. Then we won't pretend. We weren't rushing anything, but it felt good, this quiet, steady thing we were building. The next week, he invited me to a team dinner. Nothing huge, just pizza and a bunch of sweaty high schoolers talking over each other. But he introduced me to one of the other coaches as someone important. That stuck with me. Later that night, I asked, was that weird for you? He shook his head. Honestly, it felt kind of perfect, and it did. It felt like all the quiet years between us were finally softening. Like we were starting from scratch, but this time, with open hands, not closed fists. It didn't happen with fireworks or a grand gesture. It happened on a Tuesday. I was standing at the kitchen counter, trying to decide between pasta or rice for dinner, when Jordan walked in behind me, dropped his bag, and wrapped his arms around my waist. Long day? I asked. He nodded into my neck. Kids are running slow this week. Might be the heat. Or maybe they're just lazy. I laughed. You sound like every coach I've ever had. He pulled back slightly. You had other coaches. I turned in his arms. Not nearly as hot as you. He smiled, the kind of smile that still hit me in the chest. Then he kissed me. Slow, like we had all the time in the world. And somewhere in the middle of it, I realized I was happy. Not butterflies in my stomach, head over heels movie kind of happy. Just content, safe. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I've been thinking about something, he said, as we sat down to eat a half-hearted meal of whatever we could find in the pantry. Dangerous, I replied. He ignored me. I want to tell my dad, I blinked. Really? He nodded. Yeah, I don't want to hide this anymore. You're important to me. I want him to know. Do you think he'll take it well? Jordan took a breath. I don't know, but I think I'm ready to find out. That night, he stayed over. We lay in bed, facing each other in the dark, knees touching, breaths sinking. I never said it back then, he whispered. Said what? That I loved you. Even then, I think part of me did. I just didn't know how to handle it. My heart thudded. You don't have to say it now, he added quickly. I just wanted you to know. I reached for his hand, threading my fingers through his. I know. A pause. I think I did too. We didn't say anything else. We didn't need to. Weeks passed, then months. He told his dad. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't a disaster either. He started calling me his boyfriend in front of his friends. He held my hand once in public, and we both laughed afterward because we realized how scared we'd been of something so small. We went to a friend's wedding together, took a weekend trip upstate, argued about paint colors when he helped me redo my bedroom, made up over takeout and terrible reality TV. And one night, months after that first shake, and even longer after that first kiss behind the bleachers. He said it again. I love you. This time I said it back without hesitating. And I meant it. Maybe it took 8 years, but we got here. Together.